Joining us now, Congressman David Cicilline and Congressman Ken Buck. They're the two ranking members, chairman and ranking member over there at the House Antitrust Committee. Two very important gentlemen who we've been fascinated by on the show. So let's put this CNBC tear sheet. This is what has caught really our attention, which is a bipartisan effort to rein in big tech, to look at antitrust in a new way. Congressman Cicilline, I'll start with you. This is a story which has, frankly, given a lot of people some hope that Congress might actually be able to get something done. Talk to us a little bit about how the two of you were able to come together and or at least work together in working to rein in big tech and to look at antitrust companies in a new way.
Well, thanks for having us. It has been a great pleasure to work with Ken Buck, who's the ranking member of the subcommittee. And we began to look at the power of these large technology platforms, the real monopoly power they had in the last Congress. And we decided to embark on a comprehensive study, a real investigation of the digital marketplace. We did it in a bipartisan way. We spent 16 months studying this marketplace. We had 7 congressional hearings, collected 1.3 million internal documents and communications, 38 submissions from 60 antitrust experts, interviews from about 240 market participants. So it was a very thorough investigation. We generated a 450-page report, which we found that these companies were really monopolies, that were using their monopoly power to crush competitors, to harm small businesses, to harm innovation, to hurt consumers and workers. And then we set forth to develop some recommendations on how to fix it. We didn't agree on everything, but I think we recognized that this was something that required congressional action. These tech companies have too much power, and only by working together would we be successful. And I think, Ken and I don't agree on a lot of things, but we did find this one area of antitrust where we knew we had to work together for the benefit of the American people. And I think this is one place in the Congress of the United States where Republicans and Democrats in a sustained way have worked together. We generated our first set of bills that all passed out of the Judiciary Committee in a bipartisan way, and expect them to be on the floor in the fall.
Yeah, it's something we've been following closely here. And Congressman Buck, I wonder if you could explain in your own words, like what your biggest concerns with big tech are, because sometimes we hear Democrats and Republicans both complaining about big tech, but they seem to be complaining about different things. Oftentimes, some progressive members are worried about power, worried about monopoly. And then you hear Republicans mostly concerned about just the censorship rules being applied more disproportionately to conservatives, something I would dispute, but we'll just allow it for the moment, more disproportionately to conservatives. So do you feel like you and Congressman Cicilline and others on the committee essentially agree in what the problems are with big tech?
I do, and let me just back up a second. I think it's really important to recognize Chairman Cicilline's leadership on this investigation. The entire time, he consulted and was open to suggestions on witnesses and other things. I think it's amazing, and this is what happens so often in Congress and is rarely reported. And I'm glad that we are able to explain this on the show. My primary concerns with big tech are the fact that they crush competition. I strongly believe that the only way for America to remain the strongest economy in the world is to make sure that we continue to innovate. And these 4 companies that we're focused on, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google, are crushing competition, not allowing startups to really grow and compete in the marketplace. And if that happens, we have to be concerned about China, about the European Union, about other competitors, and we really can't afford it as a country. We have to keep an eye on our national debt. We have to keep an eye on other issues. And the only way to do that is to grow our economy. And these companies are really crushing our ability to grow our economy. I also am concerned about censorship, but my primary concern is the concern about innovation.
It's really interesting. Congressman Cicilline, one of the things is a lot of people saw the headline. They said, oh, antitrust bills. What do these bills actually do? Can you lay out for us what these bills are actually trying to target and the exact enforcement mechanisms within them that could correct some of the problems that you say there are?
Sure. So the bills basically restore competition in the digital marketplace. So, for example, the first bill, the American Innovation and Choice Online Act, prohibits discriminatory conduct by the dominant platform so that They can't self-preference their own goods and services and really pick winners and losers. The second bill is the Platform Competition and Opportunity Act, which prevents or shifts the burden, I should say, of proving that a merger should go forward to the acquiring party if it would, in fact, entrench the market power of the platform or reduce competition. The Ending Platforms Monopoly Act would eliminate the ability of a dominant platform to both be a marketplace and also sell goods and services on that marketplace, which has an inherent conflict of interest, which really can't be resolved. The Access Act will help promote competition by requiring data portability and interoperability. So if you don't like a platform because you don't think it has the right choices for you or protects your privacy, you can move to another platform easily without any friction. That's a good competitive solution. And finally, the Merger Filing Fee Modernization Act is a bill that will make sure that our antitrust agencies have the resources they need to vigorously enforce antitrust. But by and large, what the bills do really kind of in simple terms is they make sure that you can't engage in anti-competitive behavior to crush and acquire competitors, to promote competition. And Ken is absolutely right. You know, competition is the heart and soul of free enterprise, of the American economic system. Without competition, you don't have innovation, you have a reduction in quality, you don't have consumer choice. So we need to restore competition. Congress has sort of fallen down on the job for decades now, particularly in the large digital marketplace.
So, Congressman Buck, it seems to me a couple of those, Amazon in particular, would be pretty unhappy about. In particular, you know, the one about you can't both run the marketplace and then sell goods in that marketplace. Of course, that's something that they do routinely. There are also allegations that they'll even pick and choose the data, see what products are succeeding really effectively on their platform, and then copy those same products, something that's been alleged in the European context at least. Take us into sort of behind the scenes. How much pressure is Amazon putting on you all, on other members of your committee? How much money are they spending? And what is their argument that they're making to people?
Well, all four of these companies are not very pleased with this. I think that David and I have created a full employment act for lobbyists in Washington, D.C. and I have to tell you, when it's rare that they bother stopping by my office, but when they do, I remind them that I took an oath to the Constitution. I didn't take an oath to Amazon or Apple or Facebook or Google. My oath is to make sure that we're doing everything we can to strengthen America and make this country as strong as possible. And so I've heard a lot of my friends that have been contacted by these companies. But understand also, there are companies on the other side. There are companies who want to compete with these giants and can't compete with them, and they are supporting these bills. And so there is a balance. It's not necessarily a fair balance, but there is a balance of interests in Washington, D.C. when it comes to these bills.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Twitter, these are the guys who have all the money. So they're the ones who can throw the most cash around into people's campaigns. And we've seen how that works before. Congressman Buck, I'm also curious, though, do you think that some of these companies are natural monopolies and that they should be effectively regulated the way that we regulate public utilities? It seems to me, especially in the case of these social media companies, of course, a lot of the benefit comes from the fact that it's not just you on there, it's all your friends, your neighbors, the people you went to high school with and grew up with in whatever town you're from. Is there an argument here that these are actually natural monopolies in the same way that public utilities are?
Yeah, and I don't believe that they are. I think that another Facebook could be created very easily, and I think compete in that market space. Same with Twitter, which isn't, you know, obviously Parler is competing with Twitter, and I think Parler will get up and running again. I think it's essential that we don't do that. So often with public utilities commissions, they are captured by the very industries they're supposed to be regulating. And I think what David and I are trying to do is create competition in the marketplace so we don't have to create a federal utility commission. You start to get into speech issues and privacy issues that the federal government just shouldn't be involved in. It's much better to allow two companies to compete with each other, or three or four or five companies to compete with each other. When the cable industry was opened up, you got Fox News and MSNBC and CNN and a variety of opinions. And I think the same thing will happen when we have several Facebooks competing against each other.
Congressman Cicilline, I do have one question here, which is about talking about the bills coming to the floor in the fall. Do you have an action in terms of like how we'll see it move forward from there? Do you have partners in the Senate that you're working towards? What does the future of the legislation look like?
Yeah, I mean, first, we absolutely have partners in the Senate. Our counterparts, led by Senator Klobuchar, Senator Lee, and others, have been working on versions of the House bills, and I think you'll see those coming forward very soon. But we work very closely with our counterparts in the Senate. There's tremendous interest in reining in big tech in the Senate as well. And the question Krystal asked about the power of these companies to sort of spread money around. This, of course, is one of the challenges we face. With tremendous economic power often comes tremendous political power, which is one of the reasons we don't like monopolies in America. And so we're battling the four, most gigantic companies in the history of the world, and they have billions and billions and billions of reasons to protect the status quo, to protect the ecosystem that allows them to engage in anti-competitive behavior that favors their own goods and services and generates extraordinary profits. So they're going to fight hard against these reforms, against bringing competition back into the space. But as Ken said, we have hundreds of thousands of small businesses on our side that are suffering the consequences of their monopoly power. Consumers, workers, innovators. So we're going to prevail, even though they're going to spend a lot of money and try to stop it because it's the right thing to do. There's bipartisan support to do it. We're working now through our caucuses, kind of member by member, to make sure they understand the urgency of this, understand what we discovered in our investigation after 16 months of study. Most members of Congress weren't involved in the investigation or the crafting of these bills, so we want to make sure we get them caught up to speed. But I think when members learn the harm that the monopoly power of these technology platforms are producing, everyone will get on board and we'll pass these bills out of the House and send them over to the Senate.
Congressman Cicilline, one more for you on a different issue. As you know, the eviction moratorium just expired. That was keeping millions of Americans in their homes. There's something like 15 million Americans that live in places that are behind on their rent. House is on a session right now. Should you all come back and work on trying to pass another eviction moratorium, especially since that rental assistance that was appropriated, we know a tiny percentage of that has gone out to actually help tenants and help landlords?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, many of us have asked that we come back immediately to have a vote to extend the moratorium. The reality is there's about $45 billion that we've already appropriated. I think less than $4 billion has been used. So also states need to get the money out. It's available to both tenants and landlords. So, the frustrating part is we appropriated the money, but it hasn't gotten out. And as this pandemic is now seeing a significant increase because of the Delta variant, the last thing we should do is have people being removed or evicted from their homes. So we have to have a solution. The CDC ought to immediately extend the moratorium. There is no court decision that says they can't do that. And so if we have to litigate that, we can litigate it. But in the interim, at least people will be safe, and then Congress will have an opportunity to extend it.
Why did this come down? Why did this come down to the last minute? I mean, the Biden administration didn't say anything until 2 days before it was set to expire.
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear to me why it was this late. I think there was some expectation that the CDC was going to do it. I'm not sure why they decided not to, but they have the authority to, in my view. They should just extend it, and Congress should be prepared to take a vote immediately to make sure we extend it at least to the end of the year.
Gentlemen, we really appreciate both of your time. We know it's hard to get, not just one congressman, but two at the same time and actually agreeing on something. Very rare for us to see. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you guys really enjoyed that interview. We have another congressman on the show. It's the week of congressmen here on Breaking Points. Tomorrow, Congressman Ro Khanna. You guys can become a premium subscriber today. Link down there in the description. We cannot appreciate your guys' support so much. All of the improvements that we've been making here. I mentioned it yesterday a little bit on Twitter. We got a brand new computer. It's going to help our processing time. So that way we can deliver even more content to you. All made possible. The new bricks, everything by all of your support. Thank you guys so much. Link is down there in the description. You get the show an hour early. All of that, our undying gratitude, and we couldn't thank you anymore. We really couldn't. The gratitude is so much, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Love you guys. Have a good one. See y'all back here tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.